oh man, this is the final episode, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself after this. If I'm more upset about a TV show than the troubles of real life, then I probably need to get some serious help. So the season finale of Invincible Season 2 is finally here. My goodness, we have a lot to talk about. This episode was honestly a great finale. I mean, after watching it all the way through, I'm like, damn, I've been hit in the feels in so many different ways. It's gonna take quite a few words to convey just how I'm feeling. But before we get to that, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of you for helping me reach 1,000 subs before the end of April. It's like April 4th, the day I'm recording this. 4 days in, and we hit 1,000 subs. What is that? Y'all are going crazy. I'm actually so baffled at this channel growth. It's blowing my mind. I mean, honestly, mind explosion right there. Edit that in of it. Edit an explosion in. But seriously, thank you so much for helping me hit 1,000 subs so quickly. Oh my goodness gracious. But since we still have a whole month left to go, I'm gonna set us a new goal of 1,100 subs. I just like doing them in droves of 100 right now. It's nice. It's just like, it's nice, you know? Droves of 100, it just works well. So we're gonna go for 1,100 before April is over. Come on, let's do it. Let's not let the steam stop. Let's keep the ball rolling. But with all the gratitude and self-promotion out of the way, let's finally talk about this finale. The finale of Invincible Season 2. The finale starts right where the last episode left off, with Angstrom Levy threatening Mark's family. And of course, he gets in there in like 2 seconds. Like legit, Mark appears there in like 2 seconds. He pretty much teleports, he goes so fast. The fight with Angstrom was really good, because of all the Invincibles that Angstrom has faced in his, his other lives, our Mark Grayson is one of the very, very, very few, if not the only good one. And Mark brings up the fact that you're trying to kill me now, even though you were trying to save me when I was stopping your machine. And Angstrom kind of loses his mind a little bit. He's like, why would I save him? He's killed so many people. And honestly, like, I thought this fight would end with Mark refusing to hurt him, or essentially Angstrom being like, why won't you fight back? Why are you, like, letting me kill me? That's how I thought this was gonna go, that, like, he would sort of reform Angstrom a little bit, but I guess all that brain damage and everything Angstrom went through just drove him completely mad. So, I mean, knowing his, his character and, like, his whole arc, like, I don't think there was any way Angstrom was ever gonna be saved. But I will say, it was really cool seeing Mark go through all these different dimensions and, like, see other worlds, and there were a lot of really good ones in there. Like, of course, since it's a dimension-hopping storyline, of course you have a dimension with zombies in it. I mean, come on, that's just basic multiverse 101. Come on now. And then there were also some cameos, cameo-ish, I guess, cameos of other superheroes, including Spider-Man and Batman. And that's great. It's hilarious. Except, of course, they weren't really Batman and Spider-Man because of, well, Amazon doesn't have the rights to those characters, so they make the warped versions of them, which I just found out are called, like, Agent Spider, and I didn't find the Doc Ock knockoff, but Batman was... that rhymed. Doc Ock knockoff. I forgot the name of the Doc Ock knockoff, but... Batman was pretty much just a straight cameo. You could just sort of see his cape flapping. No words are spoken, but Invincible Mark doesn't even say Batman. He's just like, so you're dressed like a bat and you're just a man. Just seemed kind of lazy, doesn't it? That was just it was great. There was some good moments in the portal hopping. And there were talking dinosaurs in this one scene. I don't know why. I guess that might just be the creative team going a little crazy after how much work season 2 took. They just were like, all right, we're just going to do whatever we want at this point. And then for a while, Mark got stuck in other dimensions for like quite some time. Like, it seems like it was at least, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks, maybe a couple months, maybe even a year. Sometime he was stuck in portals for a while because, the other timelines and dimensions run in different time streams. And again, something that really stood out to me was seeing alternate versions of Mark. And it seems like in almost every other dimension where Invincible exists, just the concept of Invincible, he always ends up as this Viltrumite villain, and it's like, it's crazy to me. Like, we, after seeing Mark in season 1 and then learning that alternate versions of him are almost always evil is crazy to me. I will say though, there were some pretty interesting costume designs for the alternate versions of Invincible. Some of them were like only a little bit different. Others were like pretty cool. Like there was one version of him where he was like caped and he had like black goggles, and I thought it was really badass. But then Angstrom gets really, really irritated, and he snaps Debbie's arm. And I don't say snap in the sense just broke her bone. I mean he like completely messes up her arm. It's too graphic, I can't show it, but it was messed up, and I gasped. I was like so shocked when that happened. I was like, no way they're gonna kill Debbie here. That's just it can't happen. I will say if there's one thing this Angstrom fight was really, really good at, was making me scared for the characters I've come to love so much. And that is a hard thing to do. But this fight pulled it off near flawlessly. But I knew Mark would eventually prevail because obviously he's. Hope you rolled the title card there, Ovid. After so many threats to his family and really messing up his mother's arm, Mark just loses it. Like, he just snaps. After all the portal hopping and being stranded in other dimensions for God knows how long, he just loses his crap. And he punches Angstrom as he opens a portal, and they go through together, and Mark just beats the ever-loving crap out of him. I mean, like, it was exactly the same way Omni-Man beat the ever-loving crap out of him in Season 1. Mark does the exact same thing to Angstrom Levy. And, well, Levy does not survive in any scenario. Doesn't matter, man just dead. And that was like a really crazy scene for me. Because, I mean, wow. Seeing Mark, just for a split moment, sort of turn into his father for a little bit. Just for a small moment. It was just like, holy crap. Mark, are you good, mate? And after doing it, Mark just breaks down. Not only is he stranded in another dimension, but man just killed someone no less brutally than how his father tried to kill him. And after repeating what his father did to him to someone else, Mark just starts losing. He starts talking to himself and just going nuts in the desert, pretty much. He's like, I'm gonna die out here. I can't get home. And then he has he's also covered in blood too. Like Mark's entire body covered in blood. It was brutal. Trauma like that just does not go away. And I think however long Invincible Season 3 takes to come out, because I'm pretty sure Season 3 is already confirmed, however long Season 3 takes to come out, I don't think it'll be nearly enough time for Mark to recover from that. And lo and behold, the Guardians of the Globe from another dimension come and save Mark. And apparently the fight between him and Angstrom passed through this similar dimension, I think, or one close to it, but these Guardians knew that their fight would eventually lead them there, so they went and rescued Mark. And I thought that was really cool, because their Mark was missing, apparently, or just vanished, or something. I don't know, but they went and rescued him, even though they knew it wasn't their Mark. And that was really cool. It just goes to show that the Guardians, they're a great superhero team. But it was a little weird seeing Robot and Rex be the same person. Because Rex takes off the robot helmet and Eve calls him Rex. So, they're the same person in whatever dimension they're from? I don't know. That was really bizarre. But as they open a portal for Mark to go home, their Adam Eve is like, Mark, she pretty much confesses to him, like, I love you since the day we met. And she tells Mark to tell his Eve that he loves her, or that he doesn't, or just something to help her move along with her life. And I was like, ooh, you know, I'm really feeling for Mark right now. Like, I feel really, really bad for everything he's just been through. Like, my heart was broken. Not nearly as broken as Mark's, but my heart was broken for this man at this point in the episode. And I was like, man needs a victory. Come on, Mark, just go tell her how you feel. But Mark comes home and sees his mom, and, you know, she's gonna recover and be okay, which is great to hear, because Debbie is a freaking queen. After Mark sees his mom, he goes and talks to Cecil for a little bit, and Cecil's like, you know, if you're looking for some seclusion, the Pentagon isn't really the greatest place in the world. And they have a little heart-to-heart. Well, not a heart-to-heart. As heart-to-heart as you can get with Cecil Stedman. And Mark was, like, pretty much just beating himself up, like, saying how he crossed a line with killing Angstrom and everything. And Cecil was like, man, you didn't have a choice. You protected your family, and you took out the bad guy. Like, that's good. And, you know, that is technically, that is good. Like, on paper, it is good. But for Mark, someone who really doesn't like killing in any sense, it's messing him up real bad. And I think even though Cecil says to Mark that he's not his father, I don't think he fully gets just how much of a toll this is taking on Mark, you know, because Cecil isn't really the most empathetic, emotional individual. Either way, it was really cool seeing Cecil say, like, hey, you're not your father, and I know that. And that was like, it was a good moment for both of them because they had some squabbles, you know, this season, but it's clear that, you know, their general relationship, both professionally and as friends, I guess. I don't know if I'd called Cecil and Mark friends, but see their general dynamic as two characters, you know, get a little better. Like, through everything that's happened through season 2, seeing it get a little better, I think this is as good as it's going to get for now. Later on in the episode, the thing I've been wanting to happen for, like, the entire season finally happens. Omni-Man and Allen the Alien finally meet in prison. Yes, it's finally happening. They're going to be best buddies, and they're going to kick some Viltrumite ass. I don't know how I didn't figure this out or realize this, but Allen getting captured, like, of course his mission would be to rescue Nolan, because he rebelled against the Empire. Of course that'd be his mission. Why else would he get captured intentionally? I don't know what the hell was going through my head when I was thinking, I wonder why Allen's getting captured. Of course he's going there to rescue Nolan. Why wouldn't he? Aside from me being a big dumb, another good thing that happens in this episode is Rudy and Monster Girl have a nice little talk, an actual heart-to-heart. Rudy apologizes for sort of being controlling. You know, he's not doing that for the sake of being controlling. He just solves problems. That's just what he's always done. But she forgives him because she can tell that, you know, he's still getting adjusted to sort of not being a robot, basically. And somehow, with his messy words, and speaking of messy words, man, I just can't get a grip tonight. Somehow, with his messy words and real lack of social know-how, Man lands a second date, even though Monster Girl was kind of the one who set up the date. And I'm just like, bruh, how? I mean, their plight is very, very similar, and I get that they can relate to each other extremely well. And, you know, Rudy did all this for her, like changing his body and stuff, so it's only makes sense that they'd at least, you know, at least they're good friends. But I don't see them being in a proper relationship for a little while longer. I think they got some ways to go, but I think they are going to get there. I haven't really talked too much about them this season, just because most of their scenes have kind of just not been that interesting to me. I've been taking note of them, but this was a good one, and I enjoyed it. It was short, sweet, and to the point, and I think that's why I liked it. And speaking of relationships and revelations, Immortal goes back home, which I think is just like a cabin just out in the Arctic or something. Man's coming home. It's got some fish, you know, just living the simple life, living the life he used to live just before he became a superhero and died like 20 million times. And who does he find there but Duplicate? Kate herself. She's still alive. Apparently she hid a duplicate. It's just, you know, away in case something bad ever happened. And man, I don't know if she planned to fake her death. I don't think she did, but she was sick of dying. That's what she said in the scene, is that she was sick of dying, and she wanted to change her name and just become a whole different person and disappear, basically, but she couldn't do that because she really liked Immortal, and they both really understand each other. So seeing them reunite was a nice little, just sweet little extra note to add onto this episode full of tragedy and blood and death and gore and trauma and murder and alternate dimensions. Yeah, I can see why they're adding in these sweet little scenes. You kind of need it to balance it out a little bit. Later on in the episode, Mark is flying around the whole world. He probably does a good couple of laps, and he keeps increasing in speed, and he's flying his frustration out, basically. And I think that's better than punching your frustration out, is flying it out. I think that's much healthier. And he's flying around thinking about everything that's happened to him since he got his powers. And I mean everything. Everything that happened in Season 1, everything that's happened in Season 2, literally everything. And the man's having a bit of a breakdown, but can you really blame him? Dude's own dad tried to kill him. Dude almost watched his new baby brother and his mother almost get killed by some psycho dimension-hopping freak. Man wanted to be like his father, which, you know, is a memory that's going to stick with him forever, saying he wants to be just like him, especially after everything Omni-Man did. That's not something you just forget. his house getting demolished twice. Mark has had too much. Man has been beat down too many times. Give my man a rest. And when Mark finally packs it in after flying for so long, him and his mom have a talk on the roof, I don't know if I'd call it a talk. They're just sort of expressing their feelings pretty much, which is important to do. Sometimes you don't need to talk and be logical. You just gotta let it out, man. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta, in those hard times where you just can't really get a grip and can't find the right words, you just let it out and you feel so much better after. But Mark is saying how he wants to quit college, which is crazy. I mean, look, I get the man's missing college a lot and went through a breakup there and probably wasn't, a great place to go back to in terms of memories, but man shouldn't just quit. I mean, even with everything he can do as a superhero, as Mark puts it, like, with everything I can do, what's the point of college? Like, man, you might be a superhero, but you're human too. Remember, you got 50% of human, which also means 50% of you is stupid. And you know that 50% of him that's stupid? That's 100% us. Either way, I really hope Mark doesn't quit college, because, like, even though he's going to live for a really long time, man still deserves a future, you know? And of course, his mom does his best to comfort her and say that she understands, but there's really only one person in the entire world that Mark knows will understand exactly what he's feeling and exactly what he means. So the episode ends on a really, really, really sweet note where Mark goes to see Adam Eve, one of my favorite, if not my favorite character in the show aside from Mark. She's someone who really, really gets it. Mark almost tells Eve about how he feels, but he hesitates and is like, he's like, never mind, or just forget it, or it's nothing. And, like, I was a little sad because, like, I want them to be together really bad, but Mark just got out of a relationship and he just recovered from a really tough battle and a really tough scenario, so even though Eve is the perfect match for him, no questions asked, I don't think a relationship is what he needs right now. But he does need Eve, and luckily, she's always going to be there for him. I mean, hell, if you went through everything Mark went through, or even a fraction of what he went through, including a breakup, would you really feel like getting into another relationship somewhat shortly after, even just a couple weeks after? It's really not the best move, and even if Mark was hesitating because he was nervous or afraid or anything like that, like, I think he still made the right choice on deciding to wait, because man's got to heal a little bit first, He's got to heal. But either way, Eve is like, Mark, you don't deserve this. Any of this. And I'm just like, oh, it's just such a sweet moment. And then they sort of hold each other a little bit. Eve puts her arm around Mark and he sort of leans into her a little bit, and the episode ends on this beautiful shot. It's just slowly backing away from the two, and it's just, it was such a sweet ending. I almost cried. I legit almost cried at the end of that. I was like, damn, that was really touching. And you can tell every word that Eve says in this scene, she means it from the bottom of her heart. And it's just, they're so great together. Even if they're not officially together yet, just as good friends and people who care about each other, they're just so great. But this wouldn't be an episode of Invincible without a super semi-serious but really important post-credit scene. And the post-credit scene takes back in the Viltrumite prison, where Allen and Nolan are having a talk, and Allen's trying to convince Omni-Man to come fight for the Coalition and kick the Empire's butt. But after everything Nolan's been through, man's kind of just like accepting his fate. He's just like, man, let me pay for what I've done. I've caused so much destruction and harm, and I'm feeling all these things. And he's just kind of waiting to die, basically. And I felt legitimate sympathy for him in that scene. Even after everything he's done, and even after being a little bit of a jerk this season, but, like, I get how he was frustrated, I felt genuine sympathy for him. And that was the first time I felt sympathy for him since pretty much ever. In season 1, I felt no remorse for him. And Alan's like, I went and talked to your son on Earth, and, we talked trying to enlist him to help with the fight. And Nolan's like, you saw Mark? Don't get him involved in all of this. And, Nolan's right about that. Give him a moment of peace. I think that's what Nolan said. Like, give him a moment of peace. He's been through enough. So, I get that Mark will have to join this fight sooner or later, because Earth's entire fate is on the line. So he is going to have to join the fight at some point. But until then, I do agree with Nolan. Give the man a minute to breathe. He's been through enough, and he's been through even more since Nolan disappeared. So Mark needs a break, man. He must be exhausted. And the final line of the episode, the final word spoken in this episode and in the entire season, Nolan was like, I think I miss my wife. And instead of saying it telepathically, he says it out loud. And I'm like, damn. That was... Whew, that hit you right in the feels. It's like, for once in a while, in a very long time, actually ever, period, ever, you actually kind of feel for Omni-Man. And it's like, damn, man's made some bad mistakes. And yeah, I don't think he's ever really going to deserve forgiveness for those mistakes. But as someone who did a little bit better on the Thraxan world and sort of just helping out around and being nice and regretting what he did, feeling genuinely bad about his crimes on Earth, as someone who has gone through so much and done so much bad and then has done a little bit of good and feels bad about all the bad he's done, you actually really feel for him in this. And I don't think they could have ended the episode any better. And that, my friends, is the finale of Invincible Season 2. Deep breath. I am both really happy that this finale was as good as it was, but I'm also really sad because we're not going to get any more episodes of Invincible. Oh, no! We're going to have to wait another... Wait, hang on. Let me look it up. Holy moly. Okay, I don't remember when it initially came out. Like, I don't remember it coming out personally. But Invincible Season 1, the very first season, came out in March of 2021. 3 years ago. And Season 2's first half released in November, and then the second half came out in March again. So, I'd say maybe with a little bit of luck, we might see Season 3 in like 2 years. Hopefully they don't split the season again. I'd rather wait for the entire season to come out than the season being split with a couple month split. But either way, we're going to have to wait a little while before we hear anything about Season 3. And I'm sad, but at the same time, now I have 2 whole seasons of Invincible that I can revisit anytime. Man, I love this show. Do you love this show, or is it just me? I love this show. I mean, I don't really know what else to say in regards to the finale. I mean, it was crazy. Like, I don't... You know what? Here's a good question. Does Season 2's finale stack up against or outdo Season 1's finale? That's a question I'm going to leave to all of you. But as to my thoughts on it, I think Season 2's finale was amazing. But I don't think any season finale of the show, unless they do a full run of the show and, adapt most of the comics and have a full conclusion, I don't think any part or any episode or any finale of this show will ever top the fight between Omni-Man and Invincible, because that was like a game-changing scene. Like, holy moly. I don't think anything is really ever going to top that in terms of emotional impact, the actual fight itself, the words spoken during the fight, the whole premise of father versus son on this violent of a scale. I don't think anything's ever going to quite sort of stack up against that energy. But Season 2's finale was really, really good. I think there was a lot more sweetness to it, like with a lot of the characters like Immortal and Kate and Rudy and Monster Girl. I should really just start calling her Amanda. As well as both Mark and his family and Mark and Eve. There was a lot more, not sugarcoating, there was just a lot more sweetness to this finale. And though the fight and conflict of the finale was still really, really, really brutal as Invincible fashion goes, I like the added sweetness. It was nice. It was a nice, like, slight change. Either way, though, I'd love to hear what you all think about this finale, and be sure to answer the question I'm leaving you with. What do you think about Season 2's finale compared to Season 1's? Do you like it more? Do you like it less? Do you think it's not fair to compare them or say one is better than the other? Whatever you think, leave it in the comments below, because I'd love to read all of your thoughts about not only this season in general, but this amazing finale. But I think that's where I'm going to end things for now. These Invincible videos have been so much fun to make. They've also done a great deal of help for my channel in terms of, bringing a bit more attention to it. So if you came from any of my Invincible videos and are watching this now, thank you. And an equally big and equally heartfelt thanks to my channel members, which you're seeing on screen now. And if you're out in the audience and you're not a channel member, and if you want to show me a little bit of extra support, then please consider becoming a channel member, because not only does it help me make better content for all of you, but you also get a whole bunch of cool rewards. Early video access, an exclusive Discord channel to talk in, which I just polished up today. You get exclusive emotes for live streams. Sometimes I'll do some exclusive member-only live streams. I make member-only community posts. There's even going to be some director's cuts happening in the future. So if you want all of that and more, be sure to consider becoming a channel member. Thanks, everyone. But that's going to do it for now. Thank you so much for watching. And, yeah. Have a good day, everyone.